Hello and thank you for watching this video in which I demonstrate the air traffic control simulator I've developed. This simulator will run on any Windows computer, meaning it's ideal for use both in the classroom and at home. This video demonstrates the user interface of the simulator, i.e. how to move the labels, how to input instructions for flight level, for heading, etc. I have the simulator here running in controller only mode, where the computer is responsible for updating the aircraft. Hence I have a second window which is displaying information I would usually have to ask from the pilot of each aircraft, for example the aircraft's heading, the aircraft's true airspeed. I've not included this window in this video since I want to focus just on the interface. Here you can see I've loaded an airspace and some aircraft. These come from two files, an airspace file. Here the airspace that I've loaded contains some military airspace, which is shown here in red. The airways are shown in solid white lines, and the dashed white lines indicate the sector boundaries. The sector I'm responsible for is this diamond shape in the middle. The aircraft are loaded from a separate aircraft file, and here I have loaded 14 aircraft. That includes these two white label aircraft which are in a neighbouring sector and so will not be under my responsibility. The other aircraft on display have at the moment just the call sign and the planned flight level in green. When I assume an aircraft by right clicking it, the aircraft turns fully green, which then means I have control over items such as cleared flight level, routing instructions. When an aircraft is not assumed by me, the only thing I can change is the planned flight level or the entry flight level. Okay, so I'm going to start the exercise. I'm going to try and do the exercise while talking through to you to demonstrate that this simulator, which can run on any laptop, is quite capable of running a fairly complex and heavy traffic exercise. So I'll start the simulator and I'll zoom in to have a better view. So I'd start by having a look at some entry conflicts. I can see here I have the Qantas 6032, flight level 360, and down here I have a Russia 367, also at flight level 360. If I switch on my 8-minute probes, doesn't really tell us much, so if I were to take the QDM tool by left-clicking to analyse the distance of the aircraft, we have here 72 nautical miles, and we have here also around 72 nautical miles, so these are in conflict. Technically I should also check the ground speed to make sure they're similar, which I do by double right clicking just under the label of the aircraft, and that shows the ground speed. In this instance it seems to be both 418 knots. The reason for this is both aircraft are at the same flight level. They are all Boeing 737s, and I have set it so there's zero wind just to keep things simple in this demonstration, but you can of course set a wind direction and strength, and you can also have different aircraft types. Moving back towards the exercise, the third aircraft at flight level 360 is this Speedbird 3427, which I'll assume by right clicking, also the Transavia front. This is a much more pressing conflict, as it appears they're going to collide in 4 minutes or so I will solve this particular conflict by a vertical solution, since the Speedbird 3427 we see here has a planned flight level of 260, so he's descending. I would like to keep traffic at, well, not resort to opposite direction levels, which means I would have to descend to flight level 340, but we have a Martin Air 5462 here at flight level 340. So to start with, I'm just going to descend the Speedbird to flight level 350 by making the input in this menu here and clicking accept, and in the next radar update you'll see the aircraft descends. If I want to see the vertical speed, I can do that by double right clicking underneath, and we see here it's descending at 1,900 feet per minute. To facilitate further descent, I'm going to vector the Martin Air to the right. I do that by left-clicking on the waypoint, which brings up this menu here. If I click heading, it allows me to enter any heading I like. I can see from my second screen that the aircraft is on a heading of 042, so I am going to turn it to the right on a heading of 050. I click accept, and it puts in the label here, heading 050, and we saw the aircraft turned. I'm also now going to turn the Speedbird 3427 to the right as well. I can see on my screen it is on a heading of 267, so I'm going to enter a heading of 275. I observe the turn. I then will take QDM. I can see that we have more than 5 miles, so I can continue the aircraft's descent. I'm going to originally descend it to flight level 340 because of the Transavia in front. For further descent, I will have to split these two aircraft, so it makes sense for me now to turn the Transavia 233 Quebec onto a heading of 260. I switch back to 1 minute speed vectors because it's going to get quite crowded up here, and I don't want any clutter on the screen that can be avoided. So also this aircraft that's in my sector, I assume the label turns green. It's a Kestrel 11 Golf Sierra exiting my sector at flight level 290. But I also have this Iberia 22901 that is also exiting at Hotel Lima Zulu, which is a point over here to the east. This one is requesting flight level 310. It will create quite a lot of work for me to get this aircraft above the Kestrel 11 Golf Sierra, so I'm going to swap the planned flight levels. I do that by clicking the PFL, which brings up this menu. If I enter a planned flight level 310 and accept, it updates the planned flight level, and I can also now clear the aircraft to flight level 310. The PFL disappears because it is the same as the CFL in the label. This is a way that I've keep cluttered to a minimum when I move the mouse away from the aircraft. However, when I hover the mouse over the aircraft, the whole label is displayed. The Iberia 22901, I can now clear. I'm going to change the PFL, to flight level 290, and clear the aircraft decline to flight level 290. Sorry. Okay, so a new aircraft that's entering my sector. No, sorry, we already planned this one. We said it was in contact with the Qantas 6032. Switch on 8-minute leader lines. We can see we nicely have radar separation if we lock the two aircraft on heading. I'm not really too worried what the heading is, so I just click heading and accept. It puts a H in the label, it locks it on its current heading. I also do this for the Qantas 6032. And two aircraft are now locked on heading. The Air France 22 Tango has entered my sector. I would assume that aircraft, and I can initially climb it to flight level 290 because of the Ryanair 25 Tango at flight level 310. So I will clear it to flight level 290, and I can reassess that by coming back to it later. So there are two QDMs in this simulator. One is a static QDM, which you can take from any 2 points, but it doesn't move. Or there is a dynamic QDM, which I can take between two aircraft pairs. And so this two is now locked between the Speedbird 3427 and the Transavia 233 Quebec. When I see 5 miles, I will parallel them, which will allow me to descend the Speedbird 3427 through the Transavia 233 Quebec level. Another way I could see 5 miles is I can put 2.5 mile halos on both aircraft, and well, now we see 5 miles, but also the two halos are just touching, showing it is indeed 5 miles. It's now 5.1. I will remove the halos. I will remove the dynamic QDM, and I will parallel the Transavia and the Speedbird on a heading of 265. Sorry. So they're now paralleled, and this corner is getting quite congested, so I'm going to move the labels a bit just to make sure I can keep an eye on which aircraft is which when they all cross. So we've got 3 aircraft entering my sector now, the Ryanair 25 Tango, I will assume, the label turns green, and the Air France 22 Tango. In this instance, because I have a KLM 244 behind the Ryanair 25 Tango, and it's above the Ryanair needing to descend through its level, I will split these two aircraft up. So my plan here is to take the Ryanair 25 Tango to the left. I read off my screen, it's on a heading of 113, so I'm going to turn it to the left on a heading of 105, make the input. The input is displayed in the label. And well, technically I should have waited inside it till the aircraft was inside my sector, but let's assume I had release for turn. For the KLM 244 I will wait until he's in the sector. Let's imagine I do not have release for turn or descent. But to set up the situation, I will turn the Air France 22 Tango to the right to make space for the KLM 244's descent. So I read off my sector that the Air France 22 Tango is on a heading of 033, so I'm going to turn it to the right on a heading of 045. So that's all sorted out nicely. Meanwhile, Cactus 56 is coming into my sector. This is a type of aircraft in this airspace that I need to climb into my airspace. The bottom of my airspace is flight level 245, so it needs to be flight level 250 or above. Well, I can climb the aircraft to a flight level of 280, which will keep it underneath the Air France 22 Tango. So I will assume the aircraft and issue the clearance. I now have a bit of time to check the situation up here. I'll do that first by sorting out the labels, so they're all starting to overlap. So I checked the Martinair and the Speedbird have now passed at flight level 340, so I can resume this aircraft direct to Bassam, which is this point up here to the north. The Kestrel 11 Golf Sierra is, there's no traffic affecting him, so I can transfer him. I do that by right-clicking and the aircraft turns white. Coming back down here, the KLM 244, flight level 350, we are going to turn to the right to split with the Ryanair 255 Tango. Do that, I read he is on a heading of 113, so I'm going to put him onto a heading of 120. If I switch on 4-minute speed vectors, the radar separation we have nicely between the Russia 367 and the Qantas 6032. It's quite a lot of spacing, so I could give the Qantas 6032 a shortcut. I'm going to put him on a heading of 215. In the meantime, I can descend the KLM 244 to a flight level of 320. And I will wait till I have 5 mile separation before issuing further descent. Coming back up to the centre of the sector, the Transavia 233 Quebec and the British Speedbird 3427. The Speedbird needs to descend to flight level 260. We have sufficient separation, I can issue the clearance. Incidentally, if I ever wanted to check the squawk code of any of these aircraft, I can do that by double right clicking above the call sign and the mode alpha code is displayed. I can hand over a couple of aircraft now to reduce workload, the Martinair 4562 and the Iberia 22901. If I put on my dynamic QDM between these two aircraft, it's not quite 5 miles yet. An aircraft entering my sector, EZ998, I assume him, and I can issue him climb. The Cactus 56 is not affecting him. These two airways are deemed longitudinally separated, so I will issue the aircraft's climb to its final flight level of 330. I went a bit too fast there. Just check these two aircraft by halos. And we have our 5 mile separation, so I'm going to parallel the Ryanair 25 Tango with the KLM 2344. So I had a heading of 120. Let's remove the halos to prevent clutter on the screen. And I'm going to issue KLM 244 further descent down to flight level 240. Incidentally, if we turn the Air France 22 Tango further to the right, we create radar separation with the Cactus 56, which then allows us to give further climb to the Cactus 56. So I'm going to put him on a heading of 050. We now have radar separation, so I'm going to lock the Cactus 56 on its current heading and issue the climb to flight level 380. The Transavia 23 Quebec and the Speedbird 3427 are now vertically separated, so I can resume them towards their exit point, which is Reckon. The Russia 367 and the Qantas 6032 have almost passed, so our next instruction will be to resume them on their own navigation. KLM 244 is now vertically separated the Ryanair 25 Tango. I am going to resume his own navigation towards Germinghauser, which is this point here. The Ryanair 25 Tango I will also turn, but I'm going to leave him on a heading which allows me to climb the Air France 22 Tango. Going to issue a heading of 140 for the Ryanair. As I said, we can now resume the Russia 367 on own navigation. I'm going to resume him direct to Spikerball, which is a point out here because he is not going to interfere with this airspace. Also, I'm going to resume the Qantas 6032 on own navigation towards Nervnik, which is this point here. And I'm going to issue the clearance for climb. I just check again. Yes, we have sufficient separation. I'll clear the Air France 22 Tango to climb flight level 330. I can hand over these two aircraft now. I do that by right clicking and the radar position symbol turns white as well as the label. Let's say the next sector contact me and ask that the KLM 244 is transferred on a lower flight level. I can make the input here in the planned flight level, and let's say they request the aircraft at flight level 190. I can also issue the descent as there is no traffic that will affect the aircraft. Ooh, I clicked the wrong button, sorry. See, I can update the heading of the Ryanair 25 Tangos to further right turn. I can transfer the KLM 244. The distance between the Air France 22 Tango and the Ryanair 25 Tango is increasing, so I can resume the Ryanair 25 Tango direct to Germinghauser, its exit point. I don't need to see the ground speed of the Qantas 6032, so I can take that out of the label. I can give the Air France 22 Tango a turn to the left to keep it clear of this airspace. I'm going to put it on a heading of 030. That will also keep it separated from the Cactus 65, it's not too sharp a turn. So I can transfer the Ryanair 25 Tango, transfer the Russia 367. These two aircraft are now vertically separated, so I can resume them on own navigation. Give the Easy 998 a shortcut. And vector the Air France 22 Tango around the controlled airspace, around the military airspace. And I believe here, well, we'll resume this own aircraft done its own navigation towards its exit point, but that's the exercise complete. So, thank you for watching this video. I hope I've demonstrated everything